West Coast Expressway is the combination of expressway and highway linking Banting in Selangor to Cangkat Jering near Taiping in Perak. With 316 kilometers in length, West Coast Expressway linking the ports of Klang, Lumut and Penang, encouraging economic growth along the west coast of Peninsula. Unlike other toll expressways in Malaysia, toll segment of West Coast Expressway is divided into three parts, which are connected with two parts of toll-free trunk road. Why not just make it all parts 110 km per hour speed limit? Let's take a drive on the expressway on a flat land while understand of why West Coast Expressway is not a fully toll road throughout its route. The Coastal Expressway largely follows the heavily used Federal Route 5. Main economic activities throughout the route are rice farming and palm oil plantation. West Coast Expressway did not connect any state capitals and the industrial activities are concentrated in Klang and Lumut. To understand why an expensive expressway is built across rice fields and palm oil plantation, we need to look back at the previous century. In the early 20th century, the towns on the west coast were linked to the main railway line via branches. Between 1914 until 1931, Klang and Kuala Selangor were connected by rail from Connaught Bridge to the riverbank of Selangor River, nearby the location of Petronas Kuala Selangor today. The railway was closed in the year 1931 due to competition with cheaper and flexible road transport. Today, part of the former Klang Kuala Selangor railway alignment has turned into the local roads such as Jalan Teluk Piah Kanan and Jalan Kereta Api Lama or Old Railway Road. Between 1893 and 1989, a railway linked Teluk Intan, then called Teluk Anson, with the rest of Malayan railway network at Tapah Road. These branches were built to transport goods from the inland, especially tin and rubber, two of the most important exports of British Malaya. Apart of the access to the natural resources, one of the main reasons why the railway was built inland is due to difficulties both in financial and technical to construct bridges across the wide river. The coastal road between Klang and Teluk Anson, completed in 1939, allowed the goods to be transported from port to port. However, the road trip then was not as smooth as the road trip in the same road today. There are wide rivers, Selangor River, Bernam River and Perak River, which could only be crossed by ferry until decades later. In Kuala Selangor, the former ferry location is between Old Town of Kuala Selangor and Pasir Penambang. See the straight road here? In Sabah, the ferry was located between today's waterfront and Kampung Kota. In Teluk Intan, the ferry operated crossing Perak River operated by Sam Darby, which links its estates on both sides of the river. According to the New Straits Times, in the year 1988, the villagers need to pay 50 cents for a motorcycle and 5 ringgit for a car, a lot of money at that time. Thus, driving along the west coast at that time is time-consuming. The road between Klang and Teluk Anson, today Teluk Intan, was incorporated as part of Federal Route 5 from Skudai Johor Bahru by the west coast before going inland in Setiawan and ends nearby Ipoh. The development progress of Federal Route 5 is strongly related to the designs of West Coast Expressway, which explains the existence of known toll parts. When the economy of Malaysia grew since 1970s, increasing number of traffic pressed the need of constructing bridges across Selangor River, Bernam River and Perak River. River ferries were not adequate enough to carry more cars and heavier lorries that carried goods. Furthermore, ferry is not free, you need to pay. According to the Parliamentary Handset dated 25th of April 1973, a bridge to replace the ferry in Kuala Selangor was promised back in 1970, but there was no progress. The bridge in Kuala Selangor, officially named as Sultan Salahuddin Abdul Aziz Shah Bridge, was built together with Bernam River Bridge and both are completed in the year 1980. In a parliamentary handset dated 25th of March 1986, Minister of Public Works at that time, the legendary Minister Tun S. Samivelu, replied to a question related to the West Coast Road. There are 3 key points in his reply in the parliamentary handset. A new road from Kampung Kayan to Teluk Intan estimated to complete on June 1986 with a cost of 46 million ringgit. A new bridge across Perak River with a cost of more than 27 million ringgit, today known as Sultan Yusuf Bridge. Federal Route 5 from Kuala Selangor to Sabak Bernam will never be tolled. Remember the third point, it will raise in the later part. The last missing link of Federal Route 5 is between Teluk Intan and Setiawan, was connected with the completion of Sultan Yusuf Bridge in the year 1988. The locals no longer need to pay 5 ringgit per car or 50 cent per motorcycle to cross Perak River, as the bridge is free to use. West Coast Expressway was planned since 1997 as part of the long-term expressway planning in the peninsula. Federal Route 5 was fully connected in 1988, thus completed later than the other trunk roads such as Federal Route 1, Route 2 and Route 3. When I drove on this road back in the year 2015, there were lorries, a lot of lorries speeding on the road in the darkness of the night. Driving at Tanjung Karang Sabak Bernam Road at night is thrilling and dangerous at the same time. The heavy vehicles use the coastal road to avoid tolls on North-South Expressway, or popularly known as PLUS, steep climbing near Gopeng and Menora Tunnel, and occasional traffic congestion near Sungai Buloh and Ipoh. Therefore, it makes sense to build an expressway to link Klang and Taiping, providing shorter and flatter route from Port Klang and Penang Port in Butterworth. Despite the flat coastline surface, the construction of the new expressway will be expensive due to the long distance, soft peat soil and low interstate traffic. In the year 2007, the project was announced with the initial cost of 3.1 billion ringgit, but there was no further progress until 6 years later. West Coast Expressway alignment was officially announced in the year 2014. Toll parts of the West Coast Expressway is gazetted as E32, whereas the non-toll part remains as part of Federal Route 5. The estimation cost to build the toll part of the expressway is more than 5 billion ringgit, with 50 years concession period to keep the toll charge low. The concessionaire construct 233 kilometers of expressway, 93 kilometers between Banting and Tanjung Karang in Selangor, and 139 kilometers between Huntar Melintang and Teluk Intan, and Lekik and Cangkat Jering in Perak. The construction of the West Coast Expressway has the longest duration of expressway construction by a private company, 11 years. By comparison, sluggish construction progress of North-South Expressway project or PLUS caused the project to be privatized in the year 1988, and the whole expressway was completed in the year 1994, complete in just 6 years. The middle part of the expressway ends near Sultan Yusuf Bridge, which is an interchange to Teluk Intan City. There will be a video about Leaning Tower of Teluk Intan in the future. Subscribe to this channel if you are interested to watch. Two parts of West Coast Expressway are the upgraded Federal Route 5 and not gazetted as part of E32. The length of non-toll alignment is 83 kilometers. Federal Route 5 from Klang to Sabak Town has been upgraded to undivided double-lane highway by 2007. The upgraded road at that time looked like this. If you think this road design is dangerous and prone to accident, you are right. The upgraded road follows the alignment of newer road away from the older road between Sungai Nibong and Sabak, bypassing towns and villages such as Sungai Haji Dorani, Sungai Limau, Sungai Besar, Pancang Berdena and Sungai Burong. The cost of upgrading the existing road to divided 4-lane highway between Tanjung Karang and Hutan Melintang and between Teluk Intan and Lekik is 1.04 billion ringgit. Why is the toll part of West Coast Expressway is split into 3 with two sections of federal road and not fully tolled throughout the way. The reason number one, the land. Land acquisition is not only time consuming due to demand of higher compensation or outright rejection by the locals. The number of land plots acquired for West Coast Expressway the part that is not so expressed is a lot due to the small plots owned by the villagers. According to the State Assembly of Selangor, and this is really serious, the reply is by mouth. So far, nobody replied with the feel so far. There are 3,075 lots of land acquired in Sabak Bernam and 607 lots in Sekinchan alone. And the number is not including the land lots acquired in Tanjung Karang. The government allocation for land acquisition is about more than 900 million ringgit. 900 million ringgit just to get an extra land to widen the road width. It's not even the new for the new alignment. When the acquisition process delayed and lengthened, the compensation cost will be higher. The reason why existing road is simply being upgraded is due to the cost and delay if the two other alternatives are chosen. Another alternative of widening the existing road is to acquire the rice fields, definitely an unpopular decision by the villagers and will cause delay in expressway completion. Another proposed alternative is constructing the highway at the edge of Raja Musa Forest Reserve, but there will be issues if the expressway was built in this alignment. Raja Musa Forest Reserve is the largest peat forest reserve in Peninsula and crucial as the natural water catchment for the rice fields. If West Coast Expressway was built at the edge of the forest reserve, the water flow between Raja Musa Forest Reserve and the canals will be disturbed. Building an expressway on a soft and unstable peat soil is a nightmare. High costs of soil stabilizing and geotextile are needed, which led to the higher construction cost, thus higher toll. I talk about the issue of the KTM double track replacement currently ongoing because of the previous track construction has no proper subsurface and geotextile, causing the railway not to be flat and dangerous for the train. The link for this video if you want to watch is right here, floating above. In addition, the construction of the expressway will lead to more land clearance for the new townships, shrinking the already remaining forest in this country. Meanwhile, the concessionaire need to finish the expressway construction as soon as possible, as the money borrowed from the financial institution to finance the expressway need to be repaid. Pay the money. The difficulties of taking the land from small-scale farmers could explain the sluggish progress of Kota Bharu Kuala Krai Highway built by Kelantan State Government as part of the Central Spine Road project. I talked about the Central Spine Road project in the previous video where the highway took more than 12 years to build and the reasons why the construction took so long. The link for this video will be appeared right here. Is it appeared? As a comparison, East Coast Expressway or LPT passing through palm oil plantations and forests which owned by a few entities. And that explains why East Coast got the expressway first than the West Coast. However, public roads are dependent on the government budget, thus the quality of the road could be deteriorated by time, as happened on other public roads in this country. Reason number 2, bridges. Bridges are expensive and concessionaires are often try to avoid building long bridges if possible to reduce the construction cost. Federal Route 5 from Klang to Setiawan cross 3 wide rivers on its route: Selangor River, Bernam River and Perak River. There are double bridges across Bernam River and the new half of Sultan Yusof Bridge was opened in 2022. Meanwhile, the toll part of the expressway will bypass Kuala Selangor and Tanjung Karang while crossing Selangor River inland where the river is narrower. Reason number 3, as many things happen in Malaysia, political interference. In a parliamentary handset dated 23rd of November 2015, the Member of Parliament of Tanjung Karang feared that the alignment of West Coast Expressway not passing through Tanjung Karang will divert the traffic away. Tanjung Karang will be less visited and might turn into a dead town, as what happened in Radiator Springs in a film cast when the traffic moved away from Route 66. Because of these 3 factors, a user in skyscrapercity.com has predicted that West Coast Expressway would take about 10 years to finish. Whoever predicted that West Coast Expressway will be completed in the year 2025, that person might have a magic eye. However, there is one thing that on the highway that might turn into a major issue in the near future. There is one traffic light at Seberang Perak Junction near Sejagot, which is the only traffic light in the whole 316 kilometers expressway plus highway. Traffic light. Is there any expressway or highway in this country where there is traffic light in the middle? There was a traffic light near the Mines Shopping Mall and Sri Kembangan interchanges on Besraya Expressway, which caused serious traffic congestion. The chronic traffic there persists until today, even when the traffic light was removed and replaced with elevated interchanges. The traffic light should be replaced with a flyover for a smoother ride in the near future to avoid congestion when traffic from the north heading towards Kuala Lumpur diverted here, or simply turn off the traffic light and use the U-turn like what the users from and to Bagan Datuk Bridge did. West Coast Expressway is expected to divert a portion of traffic from heavily congested North-South Expressway. The construction of West Coast Expressway also expected to increase the industrial activities in Lumut and encourage tourism in Pangkor Island and Skinchan. Due to the low number of traffic, no rest area or petrol station are opened along the toll part of West Coast Expressway so far. There are petrol station and restaurant in the non-toll alignment part, so you and your car will never go hungry. The number of vehicles between Changkat Cermin and Beruas are 5. When I drove on this stretch of the highway, 5 cars are not enough to open a petrol station. It was anticipated that the traffic will increase when the alignment between Beruas and Changkat Jering open to traffic, diverting vehicles between Kuala Lumpur and Penang from using North-South Expressway. But then, that one traffic light. Will the West Coast Expressway be complete by 2025? We just wait and see. If you want to drive on West Coast Expressway, there are 3 separate toll parts between Banting and Tanjung Karang, between Hutan Belintang Junction to Teluk Intan, and between Lekeh and Changkat Jering near Taiping. Currently, some parts of the expressway are still under construction, with the section of Banting, Bukit Raja and Beruas Taiping as the final parts that will complete the West Coast Expressway. The sections between Tanjung Karang, Hutan Belintang and Teluk Intan Lekeh are the existing routes which are upgraded and open to all vehicles. Thank you so much for watching. I hope we learned something new about West Coast Expressway and its scenic towns, rivers and mountains. Thank you so much for watching again, and see you in the next video.